我哋咧今日嚟到呢度咧就做咗2節啦，咁下一節咧就係由我哋嘅日本嘅即係我哋邀請嘅嘉賓咧，會係即係做一個即係一個報告啦。咁麻煩阿 Shoko 等佢出嚟嘅時候，大家其實咧個小冊子裏邊咧都有佢嘅介紹嘅。咁咧就村上正子小姐啦，我哋叫佢 Shoko 啦。咁佢咧其實係有即係2個工作嘅。咁佢有2個工作，一就係佢係即係喺呢個即係日本咧係有一個 NGO 叫做原子力市民委員會嘅。咁即係呢個因為即係福島核即係事故之後就成立咗啦。咁其實係一個民間嘅智庫啦。咁裏面咧就即係等陣佢個介紹，不但嚟自公民團體啦，做一啲物理或者係社會即係人文科學嗰個領域嗰啲專家咧都有參加佢呢一個智庫嘅即係團體嘅。咁裏邊有工程師律師等等都有。咁佢第2個工作咧就係係一個日本嘅一個基金會啦。咁嗰個基金會其實係一個即係日本人啦，叫Takaki 高木人三郎叫市民嘅科學基金咯。咁Shoko咧喺裏邊咧就係負責亞洲即係項目嘅。咁呢個好重要嘅一個即係 Takaki 呢個基金會咧係非常重要，因為咧嗰個即係係一個即係本係一個即係人嘅命名啦。咁嗰個日本人咧其實係一個核子化學家嘅。咁佢死咗之後咧佢就即係做咗個基金啦。咁呢個基金咧係致力咧係支持咧民間咧去即係做啲研究咧，係推動一個無核社會嘅。反對喺軍事同埋喺商業上邊使用核能嘅。咁所以呢個係一個非常重要嘅一個即係基金啦，去支持咧就係一啲嘅個人或者團體嘅即係科學上面嘅研究咧，相關議題嘅。咁我時間關係，我而家咧就交俾阿 Shoko 咧，就係做一個報告。因為 Shoko 咧就係大家可能好想知道啦，因為今日3週年係咪？日本究竟而家整個嗰個即係之後係發生咩事咧？咁樣咁等陣大家可以聽下有幾問題。
Thank you, and it's great. It's very important for us to share what's going on in Japan in Fukushima after Fukushima nuclear power plant accident. And I must apologize that we've been always saying within Japan that it's very important for us to let this information out from Japan, but just too many issues one by one, and many citizen groups work on the Fukushima issues, just devoting more than they could to solve these, try to solve these issues, but we haven't been able to do well to give out the information out from Japan, and so too much excuse, but I feel like I needed to put more information, but this is just to provide the kind of overview of what's going on in Fukushima and how citizens are coping with the situation. I wanted to mention, we are saying that the area around the Fukushima nuclear power plant is like a war zone. It's like a war field, and I think it's good to mention it because it's very difficult. That we take a newspaper from Fukushima and also the other newspaper, and the newspaper from Fukushima covers just so much issues, what's going on there, but the national newspaper really doesn't mention much. So it's very important for us citizens to know that something is wrong and something there are some power that try to not this information out from there. So anyway. So that's I'm really glad that I have this opportunity to speak. And of course, this nuclear power plant accident occurred after the huge earthquake and tsunami in the year in March 11, year 2011, which is important to understand what's happening in Japan because nearly 20,000 people have died or missing after this earthquake and tsunami. Then you probably remember the scene of this explosion at Fukushima nuclear power plant. It's 250 kilometers away from Tokyo, the capital of Japan, capital city of Japan. So it was the first unit, the first explosion at reactor unit 1 was March 12, and the unit 3 explosion was happened March 14. So I still remember this week. It was hard to explain the fears that the people had and how much information we wanted, how much the people really wanted to know what's going on, and people really needed the information to protect their families and hope they are safe. And the accident was declared a level 7 severe accident by International Nuclear Event Scale, and it's the same level as Chernobyl accident in 1986. But one of the differences is that multiple reactors units was damaged, and resulting Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant had 6 reactors, but it was resulting a meltdown of 3 out of 6 plants. And it might be difficult to see, but these are and also the reactor 4 had the damage in their buildings. So the radioactive contamination has affected the land across not only Fukushima prefecture but much wider regions. But in fact, most of the radioactivity from Fukushima accidents was transported over the Pacific Ocean, resulting in marine pollution. So many say it was we were lucky that the effect was this size, because there was a worst case scenario that the government created, and it might have like 30 million people had to evacuate if the worst case scenario. It's just which way wind blows. And Fukushima case, many radioactivity flow into the Pacific Ocean, and I must say we are very sorry for this to the world, that we are really seriously polluting our planet by this accident. And many residents had to flee with only the barest necessity due to the accident. And many were forced to move multiple times because people really wanted to have the information. But radiation monitoring information that the government had was not provided properly, so by central and local government. So some people had to evacuate it. Some people evacuated to the area with higher level of radiation, and they were left there after a month. It took a month for them to be told that they had to evacuate from the area. So these people exposed radiation. They thought they evacuated from the area, but actually the area was more polluted than they thought. at the beginning, after the accident, about 160,000 people have evacuated. Many of them stayed in Fukushima. It's very difficult to find a place where far from your hometown. But some evacuated to the out of Fukushima. And about 111,000 people are forced to evacuate. And 50,000 people are voluntarily evacuated by this accident. And it's important that the forced evacuation is something that the government decide the zone that the people had to evacuate. But the area where it was not assigned as evacuation zone, but those areas were also contaminated by radiation. So there are much more people that was not given choices to evacuate. So some were able to choose to voluntarily evacuate. Some choose to voluntarily evacuate, and some may choose to stay. But there are many people had no choice but to stay in the area. But this is the evacuation zone is in the red circle. And also, since the wind blows to northwest, so the orange area also had to evacuate after a month or so. And please remember the village there is named Iidate, and which I will talk to you later. Okay, thank you. This is the Iidate village. Well, this is the May 2011. So these are the area where the evacuation zone. So people are not allowed to go into the area. And this is September 2011. So these are the shopping area, but no one living there anymore. It's like a ghost town. And this is August 2012, because everybody evacuated, moved away, and no one come to pick up your mail. So post office covered the post box so that no one put the mails into the box. And August 2012, this is a railroad. You see no train passing, so there's a lot of weeds come out from the rail. And I want to empathize that when I said 160,000 people evacuated, that's a lot. I mean, that's many people. But we have to know that still, Fukushima prefecture had 2 million population, and so many people are living there, coping with the radioactive contamination, and see the children wearing masks. And this is very heartbroken for their mothers. And but now 3 years and still many people are living around that area. And now I want to show what's happening now 3 years later. Regarding the Fukushima Daiichi plant site, stabilization of the situation is not it's not on the horizon. Reactors continue to emit radioactivity into the atmosphere and sea. And in July 2013, last year, TEPCO admitted that the contaminated water, which leaked from the bottom of the melted through reactor into the groundwater, flow to the sea. Actually, there are groundwater coming mountainside to flowing to the ocean, and the water reach the reactor buildings, and so which create a high level contaminated water. And so what they try to do is to keep the contaminated water into you see these tanks? This is where they kept the contaminated water. But anyone can imagine how long we can keep doing this. And also, since then, we often hear the news that the tanks which stretch contaminated water within the site are leaking. It's like often hear news and we don't surprise anymore, which is not good, we think. But that's how it is in the Fukushima nuclear site. But with this situation, the worst problem is that these stabilization activities requires a large number of workers who are inevitably exposed to radiation. Following the accident, the dose limit for workers, the dose limit of the exposure of the radiation raised to 250 millisievert a year, which was before 100 millisievert in 5 years. But now, the dose regulation was normalized. That means, actually, in fact, TEPCO, the electricity company, faces now the lack of skilled technicians because it's easy to reach to the point that they are no longer work there anymore. They have to wait until 5 years, or they have to wait for several years until they can start work again. So this is very difficult situation that we need someone to work there, but that means we force someone to expose by radiation. So it's very difficult situation. And 3 years has passed, but still 140,000 people are evacuees. And those people deprived of their home and land and neighbors, school, job and hospital, and so psychological damage from this evacuation and uncertainty of the future and from loss of hometown are absolutely serious. And central government and local administrative bodies are encouraging residents to wait until radiation levels have lowered by decontamination activities so that they could return to their home for most of the areas. And this is the decontamination activities that they are doing. But in fact, here's also the issues that you need someone to work on these activities. And I've heard that around 80% are people in Fukushima. So there are many people who lost their work by evacuation. And also some people are working there to regain their hometowns or communities. But of course, the worker exposed to the radiation. And we have to think, can we really clean up radioactivities I mean, this is something like you move the soils or branches or trees to somewhere. That means clean up in this case. And how you could clean up a place like a forest? And where do we bring all these polluted soils? We don't have answer. So you see those bags called frecon bags, but there are places piled up. Even near to the communities, you see these soils which is created by decontamination activities. And there's no foreseeable end to the decontamination and restoration activities. And people are still not find place to settle. So many of them are living in temporary housing, or maybe some rent apartment, or some live their relative's house, or each one has a different story, stories. But we need to imagine how it would be difficult to have a place you can settle. So after 3 years, the situation is much worse, we think. And when you want to return to the community, but 3 years, what 3 years make the place where you used to live? This is the house, the picture of the house, and where people have not been able to return. And so you have to start from clean up. But that is not, if the place are clean up, and if you can clean the houses, but that is not the way that you can take back the normal life like you used to have, because you need infrastructures to live. You need shops to buy food, or you need school to go, or you need hospitals and all the things connected the communities. But you have to restart to build up the communities. So there is a question like, can we really regain the community back once it's really destroyed? And I have to mention that actually, while the direct deaths by acute radiation exposure have not been documented, but the Fukushima nuclear accident have created indirect nuclear accident-related deaths. In Fukushima Prefecture, 1,603 people died due to a Great East Japan earthquake and tsunami in Fukushima Prefecture. But by February this year, the total number of individuals indirectly killed in Fukushima Prefecture become 1,664. That means the people who have died by earthquake and tsunami, the people who have died after the accident become more than the people who have died by earthquake and tsunami. So this shows that how much stress people have, and by losing their homes or losing their communities. And it's like 1 or 2 people are dying every day. So I hope this shows what's going on. Which gives you some idea of what's going on there. And again, we must not forget that many people who live around Fukushima are trying to regain their life, but they're also affected by radiation. And so they are also, they need support to how they could, there are people who choose to live there, then they need support, how they could less exposed, but we probably are, I'm sure that we are not giving enough support for those people, because we are not even made people find people settled in, the people who have evacuated find a place to settle. And there is called the words we say bundan, which is like a divided or separated within families or the communities, because individual or neighbors or different generations have a very different views of whether they should evacuate or how they should see the effect of radiation. So that means in many cases in the community, elderly people wants to return to their old community, but many young people fear for their future, so they want to evacuate. But since the option they have is limited, I mean, if the people who are in evacuation zone receive some compensation so that they can live their temporarily living life, but once their area declare that there's no need of evacuate, then compensation will stop in 1 year or so. So if they want to keep evacuate, then they have to pay for the life living. So it's make very difficult for them to even if they want to evacuate, but it's hard for them to choose the life to evacuate. And also many fears that the people in the community says something bad about them, that they are escaping from the communities or so. So it's very difficult for people who stay in the area. Even school teacher says to their mothers that they should not make their children wear masks anymore, because that will give some kind of fear to others. So people who live there cannot express what they feel freely, and that kind of situation is also creating very difficult relationship within the people who live there. But this is what's happening there. But and very quick view of what is happening after 3 years. But it is no question that people are forgetting about Fukushima, because which is happening even in Japan. If you are living far from Fukushima area, then people, and like I said at the beginning, newspaper doesn't or media doesn't cover much anymore. Then people are forgetting, and people think that the restoration is on the way. And it's no wonder, because this is what our Prime Minister have said. In December 2011, former Prime Minister Noda said the nuclear reactors are stable, which is not true, as I showed you. And Prime Minister Abe said last year, September last year, that situation is under control, which is not also true. I see that nationwide issues now after Fukushima is distrust over government or politicians or experts in Japan. Just an example, there's a information called, there's a system called System for Prediction of Environmental Emergency Dose Information (SPEEDY), which tells you that which way wind is blowing, so that where they have to, where the clouds of plume of radiation are flowing, so that the information could tell that which direction people could evacuate, and they had this information that the wind is blowing to northwest. But the government disclosed this information March 23rd, so it was like 11 days after the accident. Okay. And also, when the government admit that the reactors are having meltdown officially in May 12. But people knew that these informations are there, or people knew that the meltdown is happening, but from the internet or some other sources. But we witnessed that how government tried to not to give out the informations, and also through this distrust over the government or the expert, annual additional dose of exposure by radiation before March 11, it was 1 millisievert per year. But after March 11, government said that 20 millisievert per year is fine. And even many experts that are close to the government position says doses of up to 100 million sievert should not be a health concern, and which has no scientific basis. But before, it was 1 millisievert, that up to 1 millisievert. So of course people will worry if the government says 20 millisievert until 20 millisievert is fine, but of course people don't feel that it's safe. And also, surprisingly, Japanese government, the level of the Japanese government put is, I said, higher than the Chernobyl accident. Chernobyl accident, forced evacuation zone was 5 millisievert per year, and evacuation zone that people can choose whether they stay or evacuate was 1 millisievert. Then, but Japanese government said that the 20 millisievert is the line, and when the Japanese government was trying to allow school where children goes to restart if the level of radiation of the schoolyard is lower than 3.8 microsievert per hour, which is 20 millisievert. So it was very difficult for Japanese people to respond to the nuclear power plant accident, to raise anger, because we had the experience of earthquake and tsunami, and so many people have lost their families. So it was like a warning time for Japanese people, and it was very difficult to protest something or raise voices. But when our government said that the 20 meter seabed is used for the school yard, then people start to really raise voices, and also at this time the government planned to restart the nuclear power. So people started to gather around the diet houses in July 2012, and so many people gathered at the rally in 2012. In July 2012. So the summer, the government decided to launch called National Discussion on Energy Option. And so the government, that was the Democratic Party, put the information on website, and so that the people can choose when they want, what option that they want, whether phase out nuclear in 15 years or 25 years, or there are several options. And then the government received public comments and also hold public hearings. So react to the government decision, citizen group called a whole nation to join the process. And since the government since the government said that they're going to participate in a private organized event as well to see how the people are, to see the people's opinion, to hear the people's opinion, there were 22 voluntary events were organized, and 89,000 public comments were were received by the government, which is very big number for Japanese public comments in the history. And the result was 90% of people says support zero nuclear power. And even 80% of the public comments wanted zero nuclear power immediately. So government began to express an anti-nuclear energy stance. Well, at that time, the national election was coming closer as well. But so on September 2012, government released Democratic Party's government at that time, innovative strategy for energy and environment, and then said put all political resources to establish zero nuclear status in 2030s. So there were once that the Japanese government said that we will go zero nuclear status in 2030. So I didn't want to put this picture actually, but I thought we need some kind of laugh. I didn't need to see his face while I'm in Hong Kong, but then after, but that was the summer of 2012. But then in the December of 2012, Liberal Democratic Party, the Abe regime, won the election, and LDP, who has who had the power for a long time and built 55 reactors in Japan, has returned to the office. And we know that he's going to do, his administration will bring all the old policy back to the energy policy back to the Japan, and so we felt that the citizens ourselves need to, well, even dealing with the Democratic Party's regime, we felt that the governments are not serious enough to create the policy that will make us phase out from nuclear power. So we started to discuss that we as a citizen need to create policy that would allow us to phase out from nuclear power. So we come to established a Citizen Commission on Nuclear Energy, which I'm the secretariat of, and to organize a platform and analyzing and disseminating information, as well as making policy recommendations necessary to construct a society free of nuclear energy. And also, when we create we decided to create or elaborate outline for nuclear energy phase-out policy, actually, which is coming this April, very soon. So the organization was established April last year. And so we organized a platform to create the policy, but we put it, it's very important that the people, which enabling people with a wide range of opinions to discuss how to construct such a society. And we have a 4 working group, work on Fukushima accident, how to rehabilitate a disaster area and to support the victims of the Fukushima nuclear power plant accident. And also we have a working group on nuclear waste, because actually there's no reactors operating right now. So actually we are on the zero nuclear power plant status. But if you really want to go without nuclear, then we need to think about the waste issues. So we have a working group work on the waste issues. And also, since governments are trying to restart nuclear power plant, and also even which it is stopped, not operating, if it's there, then we need to think about the security. So we have a working group work on nuclear regulation, and then we have a working group work on to create a roadmap on the process for nuclear energy phase out, to create a process. And we released several statements when we had the contaminated water leaks issues, or when the government released energy basic plan, which include to use nuclear power plant as a base load electricity, and also since we are going to release outline for nuclear energy phase-out policy in this April, we released a midterm report in last October, so that we could show people what we are thinking, and then people could provide their own opinions. We wanted to do the different way that what government does. Government does prepare policy, and they may receive some comments, public comments, but that doesn't reflect most of the time. But we wanted to create a policy that reflects people's voices. So we had event, exchange opinions, to exchange opinion with the peoples for about 16 times since last October. And now we are about to put all the policy together. So back into Japan, we have more than 60 members now here, and many scientists or experts or staff from citizen groups or the lawyers and all kinds of people from different fields are gathered for this purpose. And so we are just preparing, reflecting the people's voices into the policies. So sorry, I think I don't have enough time. I wanted to show what kind of policy that we are putting, but for instance, we're saying that the annual additional cost, annual additional dose of radiation should be below 1 millisievert, and if the area goes more than that, then people should be given to the right to freedom from radiation exposure, and people should be able to choose their they could choose their life, whether they stayed or moved to the other places. Sorry, I think. And then, and lastly, I wanted to actually, my colleagues who joined to our organization, he was student, university student when a nuclear power plant accident happened. And when he heard that I'm coming to Hong Kong, then he wanted to show you this because he wanted to feel the reality that what's happening out there. This is the pollution map, contaminated areas. This red area is more contaminated than the yellow. Yellow areas here, and there's many other spots in also near Tokyo area as well. But see this Iitate village. So since wind blow this way, so this village called Iitate village, all the villagers had to evacuate. So and they haven't been able to return to their village yet. And actually, this is also, I wanted to put it how government can be silly. This is the speedy simulation the government used when they practice, or when, how do you say, when accident happened, they prepared, but this is the map that they use. So they are so optimistic. When accident happened, but wind brought to the other area, so that the impact is not that serious. So he did the same thing. Like he put this is the Fukushima nuclear power plant, and the reality, the wind blows this way. But he put the opposite. If the wind this way, the wind blow this way, and now you see the map of Hong Kong here, and this is Dayan nuclear power plant. And if if the wind blow to this area, if same accident happened here, and then if the wind blow to this way, then this is the cover. This is the area where it's affected. And Iitate village, where everybody has to evacuate, is here. And here is Hong Kong. So this shows that Iitate village has like 4,000 or 5,000 villages. And if same thing happened in Hong Kong, I heard that you have a 7 million population, and 7 million population. So how you could protect your safety, how you could protect your family, and this is the reality. It's just how much you can imagine what could happen, and it's just for us. This is just a no choice as a citizen. This is no choice, but go without nuclear power is something that we really need to think seriously. Yeah, this is the end. Well, actually, this is this is one more slide. This is the red part is the area where larger than magnitude 7 earthquake happened since 1993 to 2002, and these black areas where nuclear reactors are located, and this is Japan. So how just unbelievable that we built so many reactors here. But you see, there's some countries thinking about building nuclear power plant in Asian regions, Indonesia as well, yeah. But it's about how much we could imagine what happened. And I think it's very important to citizens to take an action. Thank you very much.